Santi, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, Paul. Thank you. Good to see you too. I'm glad we reconnected.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, right?
It's been a couple of years. I think I was
Yeah.
as I send you a message right now on WhatsApp. I realized that our last message on WhatsApp was from 2023, I guess. So
Yeah. Yeah. Great memories. Just I mean, I'm sure we'll share some of those, but like just for the benefit of our listeners, where in the world are you? Where are you?
I am in San Diego, California.
San Diego. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 20 past 6 here in the evening. It's very dark, very cold, very wet. It's Halloween. Tell me, it's going to be complete opposite for you, isn't it? It's going to be beautiful and sunny and
The only thing that is the same is that it's Halloween. It is not dark. It is not cold, and it is beautiful here. Unfortunately, that's one of the best things about living in California. I mean, you get to pay the sun tax, but you have like pretty
yeah.
much great weather and all year round. You get an occasional rain, and people complain about it, but no, it's great. I love the weather over here, and it's really similar to the weather that I'm used to in my hometown in Mexico, because it's very similar, and it's the hometown where I grew up in Mexico. It's a small city south from Mexico City called Cuernavaca, and it's known as the city of never-ending spring.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that'll tell you what the weather looks like. There's more rain. When it rains, it pours, but other than that, it's beautiful weather. Just like here, you can have a barbecue in November, December. It can be a little chilly, but it's always really nice.
So, where where did your musical journey begin in Mexico? As a kid.
Correct. I began playing guitar when I was 11 years old, and I began interested in music a little bit before that. Like around when I was 9 or 10, I started just flirting with. My parents had my parents struggle with me when it came to like giving me like birthday presents or Christmas presents because they didn't know what I was into. Um,
Right.
I was a kid, so of course I liked your typical kid stuff, but I only liked it for a very small amount of time. When I remember my friends from back then, I remember them being really into soccer, really into Ninja Turtles, really into something for a big, for a while. And I was not. I was like, um, it took me a little bit to know what I was into, and that was music. But once I was into music, nothing was like that was it. And so, I mean, I did love basketball for a little bit. I was in the basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
I did love other things, but music was the thing that I wanted to do most. And so my parents would experiment with gifting me like toys and things and here and there, and then they started noticing that I really liked music. So one, I think maybe birthday when I probably turned 9, yeah,
Yeah.
or 10 something, they gave me a little Casio um, keyboard, like a little
Yeah.
Casio keyboard that had like a little. They were not cassettes. They were like ROM or RAM, one of those two, like little cartridges of like just like memory with like some tunes that you could play along to. So
Okay.
you would put those, and I'll find the picture and I'll send it to you. But it was
Yeah.
mind blowing to me. So you would put those little things. They were themes, right? Some of them were pop, some of them were Christmas, whatever. And so you would load those into that little keyboard, and then choose what you wanted to do with the keyboard. Do you want it to just to play freely, or did you want it to play along to some of these tunes? So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so then you choose I chose one of those tunes, and it had like Beatles tunes, Michael Jackson tunes, and whatever, Frank Sinatra. But the cool thing is that the keys had a little LED, little light on top of each one of the key. You would have one of those LEDs that would light up when you were supposed to hit that key. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
so
Yeah.
the backing track would wait for you until you hit that key, and then it would keep going. So you never really messed up. It was just
Yeah.
waiting for you. It was a great way to learn melodies. So I spent hours just like playing those until I memorized those melodies and I could play them without following that little thing on the keyboard. Um, so that was my first obsession with music. Um,
Yeah.
and then after that, I had a period like when I discovered. This is the first time that I say this because I don't know. It's just kind of like it's not something that I like anymore. But I discovered musical theater. So I played in a musical theater when I was 9. You don't want to hear me sing ever, and so
Yeah. Okay.
that's why I probably quit. So I did that for a little bit, and I really don't like musical theater in nowadays, but it's something that I did. Um, and still music. I was a kid, and then eventually I graduated to the guitar, and I kept my little keyboard with me, um, and I kept playing some melodies, and I started taking what I learned from the keyboard into the guitar. Um, and yeah, I mean I could keep going with the story, um, but yeah, I wanted to be a drummer originally. I wanted to play
Okay.
drums, but my mom thought it was going to be too loud. So she said, "Well, let's try guitar first," because she one of her friends played guitar, so she borrowed the guitar from her, and I took lessons from my brother's friend who was older, and they already had a band, and I really admired what they were doing. Um, so I was like, okay, I'll start with the guitar, and that's how I went. And the reason why I wanted to be a drummer was because I went to a Def Leppard concert when I was 10 or 11 ish. Before playing guitar, I was already liking rock, and
Yeah.
um, and I was listening to the rock radio, and Def Leppard is something that I really loved. And later in when I was later in my years, in my professional years, I connected the dots, and I understood why I liked Def Leppard so much, and that's because my parents were playing Bryan Adams a lot, and
Oh, yeah.
years later, I understood that that album that my parents were playing was produced by Mutt Lange, same guy who produced the
Right.
Def Leppard album that I loved, um, and so my father you stop me if I'm talking too much, but
No, no, no. This is really interesting.
so I wasn't playing guitar yet, but I liked Def Leppard, and one day my father calls me on the phone. I was 10 or 11 years old. I was home, and my father calls, and he's not home. He calls me. I answer the phone, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to a Def Leppard concert this weekend?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna go pick you up right now, and we're gonna run to the radio station." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I'll explain. I'm just gonna go pick you up, and I'll explain everything." And I'm like, "Okay, that's so mysterious." So he picked me up, and on the way to the radio station, he tells me that he was listening to the radio, and the radio station guy was saying said that they were having a contest that we're gonna give 2 tickets away for the Def Leppard concert in Mexico City to
Yeah.
anybody who could spot the mistake purposely made on the show section, like I don't know how to call this in English, but the shows section in the newspaper, right? where they talk about
Right.
business and music, show business and music and whatever. And so my father listened to that. He went, he bought the newspaper, he looked for that mistake, for that error. He found it, and he picked me up. And the mistake was, there was a little article about U2, and it said the mistake was, the articles read something like U2 had played a stadium in Toronto in Canada with a total of 52 people or something like that. So that doesn't make sense, right? It's a stadium. And so my father found it, and we went. He picked me up. He told me the whole thing. He said, they're going to ask you live on the radio what the mistake is, and you're going to say that. And here it is. And I was so nervous, right? And so we go into the radio station, and there's all these people there trying to, like, nobody got it. Nobody found nobody found anything. They were looking for like little other mistakes, like commas or like periods or like whatever. Yeah. And so the guy, and he's like, "Do you find it?" I'm like, "Yeah." Is it this one? He's like, "Yeah." Okay, get ready. We're gonna interview. You're gonna go live. And so, and I was like, "Okay." And then we go live, and then they asked me, and I said it live, and then we won 2 tickets to go see Def Leppard. And a few days later, we went to Mexico City, and I was probably the youngest person there. Everybody was older. You know, this is 95. So Def Leppard's been around for like maybe 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but I was 10 or 11 years old. And it blew my...
That would be life changing, wouldn't it? You know, a stadium gig.
Well, it was life changing because that where I was trying to go to, I only liked some songs. I didn't know what a concert was. And my father takes me to this rock and roll heavy metal concert, and then I see this and the energy, right? And I didn't know too much about the Leppard and all the shit that they've gone through by then. And my dad, we have some binoculars, right? And my dad is like, it's like the drummer's playing with one hand.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, maybe he hurt himself before the concert or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And that's it. Like we never made it, like we were never curious about that until I became more of a fan and we found out what really happened, right? So that was pretty amazing. When I learned about that, that was really inspiring. I wanted to be a drummer, and you know, the rest of history. My mom was like, "No drums in this house. You're gonna start with guitar." And then she probably regretted it because she thought it was gonna be mellow with me playing an island string guitar, until I got myself an electric guitar and an amplifier. And
so, were you having like what kind of lessons were you having? You know, like when you get your electric guitar, and what are you, like a teenager now, young teenager maybe?
Yeah. So I was 11 years old when this life-changing thing happened. Also, just like maybe like a month apart from the Def Leppard concert, I saw Michael Jackson live in Mexico City as well. So that was also very impactful. But you know, the first thing, the lessons that I was getting lessons from my brother's friend. I had an older brother, who passed away in 2010, unfortunately. But he was older, and so his friends were older and cooler, and they had a band. So one of his best friends gave me my first lessons, and one of the first songs that I've learned was a Def Leppard tune, of course. But I was just trying to learn songs, and But I was very quickly interested in music theory because because going back to that little piano, that little keyboard,
Yeah.
me learning some melodies from on the keyboard and transferring that to the guitar. Those things that you don't know are possible. Like you're just discovering music, and you don't know that like music is like those that theory can be applied to any instrument. Well,
Yeah.
most of the Western instruments. So I was like, wait, whatever I'm playing on the piano is also it's these notes are also available on the guitar, right?
Mm.
I was like, wait, what? And then the chords that I was learning, my teacher was teaching me, just basic chords. And
Yeah.
then when I asked for songs that I wanted to learn, my teacher would be like, yeah, so this song goes like this, G, A, whatever. And I'm like, wait, so rock stars also play the same chords you're teaching me? The,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. So I can take anything that I've learned on the piano to the guitar and vice versa. And my teacher was like, yeah, kind of. I mean, skills are different, but the notes are there.
Yeah.
And I was like, that blew my mind. I was like, wait, so I can record this thing on my piano with a little memory, record like my little ideas, and then play guitar on top of this. And that's how it all started. I was like
Mm.
making songs, and I began making songs. Um, and
And
I,
did you study did you study music at university?
yeah, so after several private teachers, I kept switching
Mm.
teachers. I kept asking them questions that they couldn't answer. Uh,
Right. Okay.
they they all were great. They were just private teachers, after school things. I began taking classical guitar lessons, but the funny thing is that I never took electric guitars until very like way later. I learned all the electric rock pop stuff. I learned it on my own by ear, just learning stuff on just playing records. But
Yeah.
my lessons, I was taking my lessons on a nylon string guitar, and eventually classical guitar lessons. That's what I was doing.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I had those. I had the classical guitar instruction, but I was playing also rock with my friends. I had began some, playing in some bands. And eventually, after high school, nothing else made sense. I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to be a musician. So I went to a music school in Mexico City. I enrolled, and I was there for 3.5 years or something, doing music performance, contemporary music
Hmm.
performance, guitar, maybe some production classes, but mostly guitar. And one of my teachers there recommended me to check out LACM. Well, it was Llama back in the day, the LA Music Academy,
Oh, okay.
a school in Pasadena. And so I checked it out, and I signed up for the summer program, and that summer I went there. I think it was 2002, and I
Hmm.
loved it. I was there for a week. I really liked it, and I came back home like, Mom, Dad, this is where I want to go. And
Wow.
I signed up for like the following year. I moved to LA, and I haven't gone back to Mexico. I mean, I've been back as visiting, but I moved to Mexico. I'm wrong with the years. This is 2005. I moved to LA in 2005. The summer program I did was 2004. So in 2005 I moved to Pasadena. I went to school there, and it's been 20 years since I moved to the US.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so 2005 you moved to LA.
Yeah.
How old are you here? Like how
I
old are you?
well, I'm 42 right now, so I was 22. I was probably
Okay.
23. I turned 23 in 2005, and I moved when I was 23. Yeah, so I was a baby, dude.
I mean, that must have been amazing. I mean, LA is, it's a, I mean, well, you tell me. I mean, how does it compare to Mexico City, for example? Not just culturally, but size and moving around, and is
Yeah.
it similar or how is it?
some things I was used to, and some things were the complete opposite. Um, Also, remember, I grew up in this small city, not Mexico City, but Mexico City and Cuernavaca, my hometown, are very close.
Right.
So everybody in Cuernavaca spends a good amount of time in Mexico City, either visiting or they move there for college or whatever. I don't know. It's like it's almost a suburb. It's not a suburb, but it's close
Yeah.
enough.
Okay.
And so even though it was a suburb, I was used to the hecticness of Mexico City, like what traffic is,
Yeah.
what a what a cosmopolitan city is all about. Um, you know, culture, like it's very rich culturally. Mexico City is very
Mm-hmm.
rich. There's a lot of music. There's a lot of everything. Just like everything. Just whatever a big city has, Mexico has it. Mexico City has
Yeah.
it. So that side of things was similar, but only to an extent because LA is kind of like that, but Mexico City is like a giant downtown. It's a never-ending downtown. It's all like buildings and buildings and buildings and buildings, right? And so, but LA is kind of different. There's like downtown, and then there's the other cities around it, and then there's other little downtowns here and there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still a big city, so I didn't feel completely how to call this like I didn't belong.
Yeah.
And when I throughout my when I was a kid, we would travel to the U.S. for vacations with my family, so I was used to the U.S. style. Um,
Yeah.
but what was really different is just like everything from like what was really impactful was the level of like and when it comes to like me enrolling into this music school, the level of professionalism from the guys that I was learning from, like the teachers and the staff, and like, it was, I was blown away with that whole side, like the whole music side, and the also culturally, like my friends, they were from all over the world,
Mm.
Japan, Brazil, all over Europe, South America, other Mexicans, other American citizens, like from everywhere, and that was invaluable. Like being in such a cultural rich environment is something that I'll never forget. Some of them are still some of my best friends are from different parts of the world, and so besides what I learned about music, I think I can probably say that just learning about hanging out with people from other sides of the world is probably the best thing from that I got from that school.
Yeah. It's interesting how I find it really interesting how easy it is to connect with musicians wherever they're from. Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, for
You know.
sure, for sure. Like, when you as a Mexican, when you go to a different country, you can spot a Mexican before they open their mouth. We know our people. Maybe you do. Maybe it happens to you when you're somewhere else in the world and you see someone from the UK. You probably can spot them. I don't know, maybe the way they dress, the way they whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and and so it's great when you go to a different country and you're like, oh, you're Mexican, oh, you speak Spanish, and then you start speaking Spanish. You immediately become a little, you become friends, or just like a little, you become closer.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing with music. When you meet musicians from other parts of the world, you immediately share this language,
Yeah.
right? This thing that nobody else, unless they're musicians, nobody else
Yeah.
gets.
So yeah, I get that, and obviously we met in 2022. Uh,
I think so.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the Nam show had been rescheduled, and I was
Hmm.
assessing music exams that you were administering, and we
Correct.
we had a great time. We had a lot of laughs. We met in south of Anaheim. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the town. It was a long way from,
Yeah,
you know. And then we met again in
yeah.
San Diego, and it was,
Hmm.
we had so much fun. I don't know if you can recall, but you took us. Do you remember you took us to a restaurant right on the Mexican border?
Yeah, yeah. I took you guys to have some Mexican food, like real tacos, really close to the Mexican border. It's called Tacos El Gordo, and that was really good. That was really good.
Yeah, no, we all actually talk about that very fondly. I mean, we laughed hard, and you're right. We were connected by music. That's what we were there to do, to work with and around. And we had I don't know how long, maybe 10 days. It was great fun. It was we
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. And actually, the trip to the restaurant on the Mexican border was, like we spent 4 days, I think, something like that, in San Diego, and to go to the border, um, you know, with you and have that food and just spend some time and hanging out. They're the memories that I take forward, and also like the memories of like laughing beyond the ability to speak. Like it's just a lot of fun.
That was, yeah. I still remember that. And I think we were just talking about, like, I couldn't understand how you guys were like calling, like, it's, what is it, like, that kind of humor, like that slang from a specific side of London.
Oh, it's the Cockney rhyming slang, right?
Yeah, I was like, that blew my mind. But once I understood it, it was like, it was so funny,
Yeah,
so funny, and like, yeah, yeah, and all the guys were amazing there, man.
yeah. I mean, you were telling me then, and I mean, I'm looking at your website now, that your career, not necessarily changed, but what am I trying to say here? Like, you're a producer of music now, not just a composer or a performer. So obviously, sound, tone, timbre is very important to you. Just tell us a little bit about that journey there, because if we go back to your early to mid 20s, you're in LA, you're studying with people that think on a world class level, and likely as not, they're working on recording dates, or they're working in, they're doing stuff because it's LA, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
can you just tell us a little bit about your journey from, being an undergraduate at college, into professional musician, into producer?
Yeah, so I think it all goes. It's all about the song. I think, like, when I go back into when I was a kid, and the story that I told you about, I remember, like, the first thing that I just wanted to make songs. I wanted to understand the process of building a song. Not necessarily, I'm not a songwriter in the sense that, I mean, I write songs, but I don't consider myself like a singer songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I am more interested in, like, the production of a song, and like the building of a song, the arrangement of a song, the recording, the sound shaping, mixing. That is something that I think became full circle recently, and it's something that I've been doing for a while, but I wasn't aware that I was like there already,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I was, I guess, in my early years, when I began becoming better at playing guitar, I had bands with my friends from high school. We played shows, we wrote songs, we recorded CDs, and sold them and did the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And when I went to music school, I kind of put songwriting on the back burner without me knowing that I was doing so. Like I got distracted with music education, and not in a bad way, but I just kind of like began focusing more on like I'm in college now. I need to learn the technical aspect of everything. I'm like the theory and the little production and engineering that we were getting. I wanted to do that, and I even signed up for some other courses outside of school to learn how to produce and engineer. And I kind of forgot how much fun it was for me to write songs. Um, and but I was very happy playing guitar, and I was still in some bands. But I feel like I was a little confused for a long time.
Okay.
I feel like school confused me a little bit, and like really, not and nothing that I'm telling you is in a bad way. It's just like, my own journey.
Yeah, sure.
But I was I watched other guys who were in school with me, and when I say school, I mean any school like that I've gone to, like the one in Mexico City and LA.
Yeah.
People who were way better than me, playing in anything, just playing guitar, writing songs, just better musicians. And to me, that was both inspiring, but I couldn't help but to kind of like compare myself to them. And I just wanted to like, oh, this is what it is. I am learning jazz, so I should be an incredible jazz guitar player, even though deep inside I knew that it was not in me.
Yeah.
I was not interested. But that's what school was teaching at the moment. All it was not strictly a jazz school, but it was the school thing mainly.
Yeah.
But again, not in a bad way. I was learning a lot about the guitar and the music. But again, I wasn't writing too much or creating too much. I was learning how to play the instrument better. When I graduated from school, I began and I stayed in LA. I began playing music with other people, with artists. Just having little gigs here and there, little by little, getting better and better gigs.
Yeah.
So I was basically helping other artists make their songs sound better. They were hiring me to play their music, and I did the whole LA thing, playing the all of those venues and Hollywood Boulevard and
Yeah.
Sunset, and I did that. It was too much fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Until I began hanging with people who were also, and this is all by accident, who were also doing sessions and producing, recording music. And I did have like a little interface thing, but I wasn't too big on recording. And so I think by accident one day, they asked me to like, just, hey, you play guitar? Yeah, just record this thing really quickly. And I was like, okay. And then I saw what they were doing with the things that I recorded, and I was immediately hooked. So I began hanging out with them a little bit more, and just going into that direction of being in front of the computer and creating.
Yeah.
And I was still playing gigs, but I was very interested in the production side of things. So I learned a lot from all of these friends. I asked them to call me whenever they had something, even though they were not paying. I just wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to learn. And little by little, I began being a part of little projects. And I landed a little sync project, making music for a show. Again, by accident, because I didn't get it from anybody in the music industry. I got it from my cousin, who was the assistant to the show hostess, and she pitched the idea to them, and she said, hey, I got you this gig. You have to now record 80 tracks for this, 81-minute tracks for this next season. And I'm like, and I was this close to saying no. And I was like, fuck it. This is what I need right now. So the only thing I had, Paul, was a laptop with GarageBand. and I made all of those little tracks with GarageBand. And I was like, if I can do this with GarageBand on a deadline, I can probably be better with Logic or Pro Tools or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I started believing in myself that I could do that. And I remembered, I was like, dude, I used to write songs. And so I was like, let's start writing some songs. And I began writing some songs, and I met some vocalists, and I would do the instrumentals and send them the stuff. They would record vocals. And I was like, okay, this is going somewhere. I had a project for a little bit, which I'm really proud of. It was called The Fetching, with an incredible vocalist, my friend Takus. She's an incredible vocalist. We recorded that album, and that was my first like adult experience with producing and writing a full album of my music. And this is 2012, 13ish. I mean, I started flirting with my songs around 2010, but like this album came out in 2013. And I still love that album, and I loved everything around it. It's very honest, and I was like, I want to do more of this. And I'm like, I produced this. This sounds good. Let's do more of this. So yeah, I mean, I've been producing since, but I recently began it's just like life takes you in different directions, and you come back to certain things.
Yeah.
And some people find a thing and they stick to it for 20 years. I've been in different things. I've also been in education. Whatever I do, I've always been in education, like either teaching guitar lessons when I was younger, to having a mentorship program, which is what I have right now, to, as you know, working with music education companies or universities.
Yeah.
I ended up working for that university that I went to in LA. So, I've been involved in a lot of things, but recently, 2 years ago, I began getting really focused in just fully production, mixing, and composition. I mean, I'm a guitar player. That's what I will always be. But I've been producing artists, mixing their albums, songs, records, and also making music for sync, working with publishers and creating albums in different styles so that they can be placed on TV and film. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And the education side of things also began a couple of years ago when I have that calling. Like, I like to teach. And so I was like, well, I love to teach this to someone, like whatever I'm doing. Like, I'm a guitar player. It took me a little bit to learn how to produce and mix music and be happy with the results. And also, I would love to teach other guitar players how to do that. Plus, releasing music that they're proud of, and also that they can pitch for sync opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
And I mean, I've got your website open, and there's before we get into the story, but it says here that your music should move you first, and that there's a lot behind that. I think.
Yeah.
I think for my own journey, when I was kind of lost and not knowing, like I've been playing the drums for 40 years, and that's hard to do. Life is rich, and you should do many things, right? But so to do one thing for that long, that took a lot from me, I suppose. And then I remember speaking with you in 22 and in 23, and I was like, look, I'm trying to make my own music. I don't know where to begin. And I was watching your socials, and this line here, your music should move you first. I've heard that from you and from others, and that resonated with me, because until until I was into it, nobody else is going to buy into it, right? And I don't mean financially. I just mean no one's going to believe it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think that's one of the a lot of young guys in music right now. They're trying to jump into on trends, and they see that there's a lot of music being made in the style of, so they go that direction.
Yeah.
And listen, I respect that. I understand that, if you want to make a living in music, you're providing something for someone that is going to end up buying it in any form. So I understand why you might be interested in jumping on a trend, as long as it's an honest decision with yourself, as long as it's something that, again, moves you first.
Yeah.
A lot of the music nowadays, and there's plenty of examples, not to name any names, but you can think about current pop stars that used to be big 15, 20 years ago with music that sounded way more honest to what they're doing right now
Yeah.
than what they're doing right now. But they're trying to like, I'm getting old, and the label is telling me that I should sound like this so that the kids like me. And then you also have other artists that are like, no, this is what I've been doing for years, and I'm gonna keep at it, right? Like, so to me, it's more about like the audience is gonna know that.
Yeah.
And if you're not true to yourself, nobody is going to buy into it, as you said. And so, you have to make music and make sure that you love it before somebody else loves it. If you're trying to make music that everybody loves, most likely you're not going to love it. If you're trying to make music that appeals, if you're thinking about it when you're making music, I want this to be something that everybody sings to. I mean, it's great to dream about that, but first, why don't you dream about playing this song forever and love it forever? You're like yourself.
Yeah.
And that is when you'll find people who will like it. And we're not here to make music for everyone. We're here to make music for ourselves first. That's what I think.
No, I agree.
Call me old.
No, well, yeah. If you're old, I'm certainly old. But like, I agree. But I think where I didn't make a mistake necessarily, but when you're out there gigging, like you were saying, you were on, Sunset and Hollywood, and you're doing the clubs. For me, doing the clubs here, corporate gigs, weddings, whatever, club dates. It's entertainment, right? You're playing somebody else's music. If I guess in the majority, unless you're, lucky enough to be in a band where you're playing originals, but that certainly here in my part of the world, that doesn't land so well. Like, you have to be out there, doing covers, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get lost in that, because you spend years and years and years playing somebody else's music, and then you kind of forget. If you're not careful, you can forget your own creativity within it, because
absolutely,
because you're not being. I'm trying to be careful here. Like, you're not being creative necessarily when you're playing someone else's music, but you are having a good time and you are performing music and all of that. But you're expressing yourself through somebody else's paradigm, right? It's somebody else's art. And I think that I'd had enough of that. Like, when I met you, I wasn't playing because I was in that zone of like, I don't know what to do anymore, because I'd done let's call it entertainment. I'd done the entertainment thing, and actually all I wanted to do was play for me. And if somebody else liked it, well, then that would be an honor. But and what I like about, I mean, maybe you can just give us a couple of minutes on this. Like, you've got your process, like connect, map, elevate. You know,
Yeah.
just talk us through how you define that process, and then how you help an artist through it.
Yeah. So normally when an artist gets in touch with me or whatever, whenever I connect with an artist, um, the first thing is just to find out if we click, if there is chemistry there,
Yeah.
to make the best out of to make it the best out of this whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I connect with an artist, I really try to understand what the artist is shooting for, what what their vision is, what they want to say, the emotions that they're trying to like feel. And this is important, not the emotions that they want. Nothing here is about the audience. It's all about the artist. It's not about the audience. It's not about me. It's about what the artist wants to get out of this. And if it resonates with me and if I feel like I can help them, then I will try to do my best to help them.
Right.
Too many producers believe in this whole thing about I have my own sound and I'll have artists reach out to me because they like my sound and they want my sound in their albums. And that is not the way I approach music production. Again, I respect it. Hey, earlier and during this call, I said I loved Brian Adams and I loved Def Leppard, and they both sound the same in the '90s because they were produced by this one same guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I get that, but I guess what I'm trying to say here, the way I like to do this is I want to honor the artist's vision as much as I can. So we connect and we talk about that first. And then the process is all about spending a good amount of time exploring with sounds, textures, directions. A lot of the times the artists have an idea, but they don't have a clear understanding on how to get there. So we experiment with what I just said: sounds, textures, instruments,
Mm-hmm.
emotions. You know, I asked them to tell me what the song is about and why do you write it? What are the most important words in this song?
Gotcha.
And so when you get into that, you're trying to get into the same mindset as the artist. And then this process could take one day or 1 month, but it's all about getting there and honoring the artist's vision. Of course, it has to be something that I enjoy doing too, and that's why we do the first step, which is connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe if somebody reaches out to me and I, for some reason, it's not the music that I would be good at because I either don't like it or I'm not good at making it, maybe it's not the best idea to have me in your project, right?
Yeah.
But once we're past that, it's all about exploring, and spending the amount of time that is needed in making and just honoring the artist's vision. Um, and then we get to work. You know, we get to work, and a very important part of the process with me is I spend a lot of time listening to the artist's demo, and I try to keep as much as I can from that demo. Um, if it's just a voice note, sometimes maybe the voice note is hard to rescue things from a voice note. But if it's like if it's something that they made on GarageBand and they feel, because there's a lot of magic in an artist's demo, and so a lot of little things that they come up with while they're experimenting and when nobody's watching
Yeah.
is very special, and it's really hard to recreate that. So I like to really find those moments and bringing them up and accenting those moments, little happy accidents, little little things that they have no technical idea on how they got there, but they got there just by clicking on random plugins and they've found a weird quirky sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the things. Those are the things that bring personality to the song, and those are the things that I see a lot of producers. They receive the demo, they scratch, they erase everything, and they start from scratch, and that is a big mistake. So I love working on. I love keeping things from a demo. I feel like that there's a lot of power in that.
So, I mean, that's fascinating and actually inspiring. I mean, are you saying then that where possible, you'll literally take the raw stems from the demo and build around that?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Like I will, of course, they have to be, it has to make sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I've been in so many situations where the artist, they here's the thing: when you're working with an artist, you have to be their best friend. You have to be their support. When you're producing them, that whole thing that you've seen on documentaries from the 80s and the 90s, where the producer is just a dick. These big shot producers are just acting like the bad cop.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't like that. You have artists. It doesn't matter how big they are, how famous or not famous they are. They're very vulnerable when they're showing their babies to you. Their songs are their babies. So of course you have to be honest and you have to be firm about some things because that's what they came to you. But you also have to understand that you are there to support them and help them through this process. And so a lot of the times they feel like whatever they did is not worth it. Whatever they worked on is not, it's just not good enough. And they feel like, well, I'm just going to go with the producer so he can replace everything that I did and make it sound good.
Yeah.
And I've been in so many situations where I'm listening to the demo here in the studio and the artist is sitting in the back. And I'm like, wow, let's keep this. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, let's keep this. And they're like, they don't understand why. And then it's not until we have a conversation about going deep into the song and that moment when they're like, wow, I never thought you would like to keep this. And that way you're handing them back the power of owning the song. Like a lot of them feel like when they work with a producer, they're afraid of working with someone who's going to butcher their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And they also feel like they're not technically,
Yeah.
proficient to say, I don't like that. Can you do this differently or things like that? Yeah, I keep a lot of the things, and of course it all depends on the amount of stuff that is there. It doesn't mean that everything is, but yeah, I work around some stems. I'm working with an artist at the moment, and she brought a really cool demo yesterday, and a lot of the guitars were recorded poorly, but hey, after adding some effects and some things, it just sounds like the vibe that she was looking for, like something that is not perfect, something that it sounds like it was recorded in the intimacy of her room.
Yeah.
And so
I think the connect.
it was really
I
cool.
think the connect part is really powerful because there's a lot of power in somebody else saying I believe in you. You should believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Because art is it's an ultimate form of self-expression, right? And if you can't express yourself in a way in which you want to express yourself, obviously within the law and all of that, take that as read, but you're just talking about your human expression. Sometimes there's a glass ceiling because you don't have the technical ability. You can hear it in your head. But you can't actually get it out. Like you can't, because you don't have whether it's the equipment or the ability, or you might be able to play the instrument, but you don't know how to record. you might be able to record, but you don't know how to clean it up, or there's so many
Yeah.
parts of the process, right? And and
Yeah.
and I think that's why it's important to collaborate. Like you don't need to necessarily do it all. The
Yeah.
best actors in the world need directors, and the
Yeah.
the best musicians need producers, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. And going back to what I was just talking about like keeping those things, the demo stuff. The opposite is also true. I I work with artists who reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, I think the only thing we're missing is just a good drummer. Can you help us find a good drummer and produce that part of the song?" And I'm like, "Sure." Normally when they tell me that, I know that there's more to it. So
Yeah, okay.
they send the demo and I'm like, "This needs a lot of work." And I'll be honest with them. I'm like, "Hey, I don't just want to do this for the drums. If I want to help you because this whole thing needs work and we need to re-record these guitars, this vocal, and I bring them over to the studio and we talk about it and I show them why." Um, so that's also the opposite. They feel like they don't need anything else and they want to keep everything that they have, but maybe they do have to re-record some stuff. So, but it's all about as you said, connecting and the collaboration thing. What you're talking about is also very interesting because it's there's also a lot of power in learning how to do things on your own, especially nowadays. You can. My program is called the Self-Producing Guitar Player. My mentorship program is called the Self-Producing Guitar Player.
Yeah.
But it's not about. In no way I'm trying to suggest here that it's all about just doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
It's all about learning how to do everything yourself so that you can be independent and not and do things on your own. But collaborating, a big part of my program is also about collaborating. I teach these guys how to reach out to a session musician, and a lot of them, they're not interested in becoming an amazing drum programmer. They want to have real drums. Okay, so let's find one. Let's talk to these session musicians. Let's talk about
Yeah.
them. Let's hire them. Let's see. And then they have no idea. They and it's really cool for them to learn the skill of connecting with other musicians, hiring them, directing them, um, and seeing it from a different perspective. Because even if they're like, "Oh, I don't need to hire a drummer. I like my program drums." I'm like, "Yeah, they sound good, but let's just do it. Let's see what happens." And then they're like, "Oh my god." Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's all about working with other people and having perspective because I I am not a mastering engineer at all. But I've been in situations where I have to master my tracks or somebody else's tracks, right? But whenever I can, I try to send my mixes to somebody who can master my music. First of all, because you have to master your music. And even if I have some knowledge, and even if the artist is in love with the mix, I still want to send it I just want to have another pair of ears to go through the last process and have a little different perspective. Somebody who's not attached to it, who can tell me, mix is great. It just needs a little bump here, a little bump there. It's just more clarity here and there. Here you go. This is what I come up with. And you're like, wow, dude, you're amazing. That's why you're a mastering engineer.
Yeah.
Same thing with, I most times I mix everything that I produce, but I've mixed other stuff that I don't produce, or I've produced stuff that I don't mix. And it's great because I produce music and I know that the artist wants to mix with somebody else. I send it to them. And then when I get the product back, it's really cool because it's like, oh, cool. I've never would have done it that way. But so when you're collaborating with someone else, they're adding to it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're adding to it, hopefully in a very positive way. And there's a lot of power in that.
And I think that musicians are almost pre-designed that way, right? You know, to make music with other people. You know, like to share the art.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure, for sure. I know, and there's there's also really cool things about doing things. As I said, being able to do things on your own.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends, he's out of this world. He's an incredible multi-instrumentalist, mostly a guitar player, but he plays drums incredibly well, and he sings really cool, and he plays bass. So he's been making his albums with his own project. You know, he works for other people too, but when he makes his own music, he has his own little different moniker, and he just has someone else mix it and produce and master it, but he's doing everything else. Absolutely everything that you're hearing is him. And that's also very admirable, and he likes doing that. And I guess for someone like him, who is someone who works a lot with other people, he's constantly adding to other people's music.
Yeah, yeah.
The enjoyment of being able to, like, this is mine. And this is my moment. You know, so yeah, you know, it's
yeah. I mean,
you know,
yeah,
it's
it's interesting, right? Because it's not one path for everyone, is
Yeah.
you know, and that's the beauty of it, I think.
yeah.
So,
But I do love collaboration.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're with the right group of people, or even if it like one other person, and it becomes symbiotic, and you know, you're feeding each other in a very positive way.
It's so exciting to you when you come up with something and then you hand it off to someone else, and then you get something back that is not even close to what you thought it could be, but in a good way.
Yeah,
And when you get surprised, like it happens to me all the time when I make all of these instrumentals and I send them to top liners, and I'm like, here it is, here's my idea, here's a reference, but do your thing. Or when you hire a session player, a piano player, and I'm like, do your thing, and you get this back and you're like, God damn it, this is so good. Or if it's not that good, then you give them direction, but it's adding to it. And it's just so exciting. That feeling of waiting to see what the other person can add to something. Or being in the same room, as you're saying, like the symbiotic, you know, feeling of like the symbiotic situation of just, you know, that you're all sharing that moment.
yeah.
It's really cool.
So people can find out about your work at yagoman.com.
Correct. And also, really quickly, let's just tell people about my name.
Yeah, sure, yeah, because I know you as Santi, right? You know, that's your
Yeah. So my full name is Santiago, right? That's my full name, Santiago. And being Hispanic, I have a long ass name with two last names, right?
Okay.
So first name Santiago, last name is Granados. Its second last name is Mann, Mann. That's a long name. So, in Spanish, people who are named Santiago, they're normally called Santi, as you call me.
Yeah.
So, growing up in Mexico, people would call me Santi. Santi Granados, right?
Yeah.
When I moved to LA, somebody, for some reason, began calling me Yago.
Huh.
Which is the second half of my name, Santiago, right?
Yeah.
So some people began calling me Yago, and some people were calling me Santi. And then, funny enough, when I moved to the States, when I would put my name down to like any kind of application or whatever, they would skip my first last name, thinking that it was my middle name.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
So they would call me Santiago Mann.
Yeah.
So then Yago Mann. And it's kind of like I thought that was probably a better and easier and just more fun way to have a music name. So yes, long story short, you can find me at Yago Man is my yagoman.com is where they can find about me. That is YAGO as in mom,
Uh-huh.
MANN as in Nancy. So yagoman.com. I have information there about working with me, in any way, production, mixing, and also if you want to find out if you're a guitar player and you've played for a while, you're probably professional guitar player too, and you feel like you're kind of stuck and you feel like you maybe need some help understanding how to produce and mix your music and release your music, or maybe pitch your music for sync placements and sync opportunities. That's what my mentorship program is all about. It's about you helping you with all of that stuff that I went to or went through, and giving you back the control, creative control, and knowing that you have and you're capable of producing your own music and releasing it and finding opportunities and success with your music. And there's a lot of really great success stories right there in my website. I will not get you dizzy with all that. I'll let people go to the website and find it. But yeah, that's how they can find me. Have some music there, and
we'll put a link in the show notes for sure, and we'll put a link to your Instagram as well, because there's lots of really cool stuff there, I think.
Awesome, yeah. Well, and if you just want to say hi and drop by and say hi, and I'm always happy to connect with people. So
wonderful.
So yeah.
It's been good to see you, man. I mean,
you too, man.
I've not seen you for a couple of years, obviously, and it's I've got a lot of fond memories. I'm going to tell a story, and this is going to sound a bit weird for the listener, but you'll remember it perfectly. So, you and I were in the hallways in the convention center in Anaheim. Do you remember? And we needed the toilet, so the queue for the men's toilet is like a mile long, right? So we're in there, and and for some reason it's like this mariachi band playing. Do you remember this? I don't know if you can remember.
It was somebody, like you were, like maybe there were like probably 5 people in between you and I inside the restroom. We're all trying to do our thing.
Yeah.
And it was somebody's ringtone, or somebody was watching a video inside the restroom.
Yeah, that's it.
And it sounded like a mariachi band, like really loud.
Yeah, yeah. And I just remember
that moment was so much. It was so funny because
apart, just catching your
you
eye.
heard the mariachi band.
This is so
and then
funny.
I saw you looking at me, and I'm like, I'm not the only Mexican here, dude. Like, I remember I was like, are you looking at me? You hear mariachis and you're just looking at me. It was not me. It was somebody else. And we were laughing so hard because I said that out loud.
Yeah, I mean, because I was looking at you. I wasn't looking at you because of the. Obviously, it was Mexican music and it was funny. But I was like, are you hearing this as well? Like, like.
Yeah, I know. And I know it was like that. And I just gave you that one. It was just, Again, collaboration. We're adding to the joke.
Listen, thanks so much for your time today. I know that you've got to collect your son from whatever he's doing. So
yeah, I have to go get my kid. But hey, 2 things. You have to get yourself back, come back to NAM or whatever. Well, let's have some fun. Let's have some tacos, and let's make some music. I know we talked about it a couple of years ago, so let's revisit that conversation.
Well, I would love to do both. So take it as a yes, definitely. And NAM or no NAM, I don't need any other reason really to come and visit you. Like we'll just come and hang out and eat good food and play music. That'd be
there. You go.
All right.
There you go.
Well,
There you
listen,
go, man.
Santi, thanks so much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And looking forward to hearing this, hearing this conversation again on streaming services.
We'll put it out. We'll syndicate it everywhere. So, yeah. All right, mate. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks.
See ya.